Trade and Industry Minister Rob Davies. A very good morning to you, and thank you very much for speaking to us, Mr. Davies. Minister Davies.
Morning, Teresa. Morning to the listeners.
Let's first start with President Jacob Zuma speaking of equitable growth. Now, if we're to measure the growth of the 5 countries, but specifically looking at Brazil and India, there's a huge disparity between the growth levels, the trajectory between pre-1994, that's the financial meltdown, and post that. Do you at least understand the discrepancy to be able to talk about how you can create equitable growth?
Well, I think that when we talk about equitable growth, it's very much what we say. We're talking about in South Africa is inclusive growth. I think what we're saying is that all of us, when we go our trade investment relations, we must work towards, as another paragraph in the declaration says, promote win-win partnerships. So I think that's what it's about. So that when we cooperate, we're seeking outcomes that add to the productive capacity of all of us and complement each other's efforts to promote more value-added activities. And indeed, one of the other recommendations was that they are looking at increasing value-added trade among BRICS countries. That was also one of the other recommendations, which is very much in line with what the trade ministers are doing, commissioning a study to look at how we promote value-added trade. So I think that's what they mean by equitable growth.
But surely you are also looking at the business cycles that may have affected the booms and drops in production that have impacted on, as I said, the disparity in growth between the countries, including the long-run trend in production.
Yes, I think that the overall and overriding point is that the growth that has taken place in the BRICS countries has been the major bulwark against the current global economic recession becoming a Great Depression. It has been that growth has held up in BRICS countries in contrast to what we've seen in significant parts of the developed world. And that has been a very significant factor in keeping the world economy going. And it's also indicating that there's a shift in the center of gravity of the world economy. Now, right now, we have seen that there are some slowdowns in growth rates, but they are still very, very buoyant compared to those that we're seeing in Europe, for example.
Just part of the lamentation has been, while we've seen growth rates that are set to be above that of developed countries, it has not necessarily translated into better human development. South Africa, we've seen a loss of jobs, for instance. And then how do we as a country then try and translate into being a worthy partner trading with countries within the BRICS bloc?
Well, actually, what we've seen is very, very significant increases in our trade and investment relations with other BRICS countries. Our exports to other BRICS countries as a whole over the period between 2008 and 2012 increased by over 50%, now imports by 33%. So we've seen that has basically kept us going over these years. But I think the picture in South Africa is one actually where we have created a significant number of jobs, but we've also had an increasing number of younger people as a result of our demographics coming into the labor force. And so we have not been able to create jobs at the pace to absorb all the new entrants into the labor market. That's the problem we have in South Africa. But of course, the South African economy is also a lot more buoyant, even given all our problems, than many economies in the developed world.
A significant number of jobs in South Africa, Mister. I mean, one of the things that we're looking at is there's a possibility that we could lose 150,000 mine jobs just by 2015, and that's in that sector alone.
Well, that is leading us to the conclusion, which is also reflected in the discussions in the BRICS Business Council, that what we need to be moving towards as South Africa, but also as the African continent, is we need to be moving into an era of value-added production. We don't have a future, either as South Africa or the continent, if we simply are content to leave ourselves as producers and exporters of primary products, be they primary agricultural products or be they primary minerals products. We've got to move up the value chain. We've got to be adding more value. We've got to be industrializing and reindustrializing our country and our continent. That's where we are looking to move. That's where the African continent is looking to move. And I think what was important about the BRICS Business Council meeting was that it recognized, understood that, and is trying to establish partnerships that will promote that.